Hey guys, today I've got my brother Liam on. We're just going to have him on just talking about his experience with ME CFS, Myalgic Encephalomyelitis, and just how it's adversely affected his life over the past 8 years. Psychiatric drug damage and ME CFS, they correlate with each other in terms of symptoms, so I think it's just good we have my brother on today to talk about it and just share his experience. So first of all, Liam, how did you develop ME CFS?
Hey everyone, I was on Cole's video before, but yeah, I'm Liam, first time on the camera, so yeah, how to see how this goes. I developed ME CFS when I was 15, which is year 12 over in New Zealand. I don't know what that is over in America and stuff, and yeah, I basically just developed it by virus, Epstein-Barr virus. At the time, I didn't know much of it, and I just remember feeling really tired and fatigued over the period of a few months, and yeah, just had little to no idea about what was to come, and yeah, basically that's how I got it. I got it from a virus. Everyone who develops this disease, a lot of it comes from viral infections and stress and stresses and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I developed it.
Cheers, mate. So when you first got it, what did the doctor say? What was the doctor's advice? Because you go into a medical professional who's meant to sort of help you, and what should have he said? What should have he told you to do in that moment?
This is 8 years ago, so I can't exactly recall what he said to me word for word, but it was something along the lines of like, when I got my bloods tested, he knew that I had the virus within my system, but the message of rest wasn't really clear, and he just told me to carry on at the time, which was around school exams, and I had a big cricket tournament up, and I had all these things going on, but the element of rest wasn't nailed into me. And I feel like with this disease, I don't know, I'm not going to go off facts and stuff, but if you have the disease for more than 6 months and you're still feeling these fatigue symptoms, you have a 1% chance of recovery. So if you can really, within those first 3 months, rest, you have a good chance of recovery. And the doctor just, totally missed the mark there. And he just told me to carry on, and I did. And I could just feel my body not getting any better, but I just thought one day I was going to wake up and it was going to clear my system. And there was no information about it. There was no, my parents didn't really look into it or have any idea what was going on. They just, I just kept going on, and I ended up pretty sick. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's pretty plain for the medical advice not to advise you or tell you the right things to get better. So yeah, it's for myself. Yes, same boat. Coming off long-term psychiatric drugs, I saw my doctor, and after 12 years, you're told to come off within 4 weeks, cold turkey. So it's pretty piss poor, mate. So yeah. So and according to that, how could have the disease been treated on early in the process? What could have been done? What should have been said? Because now, 8 years on from when you first got Epstein-Barr virus, and now it's probably, irreversible. What should have been done? What should have he said?
Again, just really pinpointing the key elements of rest and not to strain your nervous system, because every time, knowing now, not living it, every time you're going out there and you're straining your body and you're pushing yourself past those limits, you're just causing further damage. And at the time, I had no clue. I had no freaking clue. I was, year 12, I was taking 5, I don't want to brag or anything, but I was taking very hard subjects at high school. I was perceived to be quite intelligent. I had a big tournament that I trained the whole year for, and I had all these stresses going on. And I just wish he just told Liam, mate, if you don't rest for 3 months, high dose vitamin C, take some, green tea, vitamin C, good broths, just rest in bed for 3 months, I probably would have recovered. And this all of my 8 years of stress and all this stuff I've gone through would have never happened. And it's just frustrating that the medical professionals don't have an idea of these diseases. Same as coming off antidepressants. There's no guidelines for these guys to follow. My doctor wouldn't even know what myalgic encephalomyelitis is. He still might not even know what it is. I've been to him for 8 years, and they're so firm on their guidelines. And yeah, that's what I wish happened. I don't want to blabber on, but yeah.
Yeah, so it seems to me it's just, very sort of simple advice.
Simple advice.
You have Epstein-Barr virus, Liam, in your system. Rest up for 3 or 4 months. I know you're 16 or 17 or whatever, but rest up for 3 months, and chances are the virus is going to clear out of your system.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the rest of your life to live. Or push yourself and make the virus worse, it replicates, and be setting yourself up for a lifelong disability. So lasting,
truth,
an irreversible condition. So it's just it's absolutely ridiculous. The medical profession take no blame for it, and people's lives are gone. Destroyed. So back when you're at that age, 16, 17, how did it affect your schooling? How did it affect your social life? And the pressure to perform from our family, our father, because you're good book smarts, how did you manage it? How did you go about it?
That year 12 to year 13 holiday, I played in the tournament, and I wasn't well. Every day I was coming home from the tournament, I was sleeping. But at the time I didn't know. I knew no better. I just thought, it's just going to pass. And then year 13, going into high school, something switched there, and I was just, every day I'd go to school, morning tea, I'd fall asleep, lunchtime I'd fall asleep, I'd get home from school, I'd drive myself to school, to and from school, I'd get home at 4 o'clock and I'd fall asleep, straight in bed, and some days I wouldn't wake up till the next morning, and everything just felt like a blur. I feel like everyone had, this image of me that I just couldn't. I was trying my best to maintain, but I knew deep down I couldn't, and it affected everything. My parents' relationship with my parents now was pretty non-existent. Don't really want to blabber on about that too much, but yeah. Had a girlfriend at the time, and just people seeing you're just scared to be vulnerable. You just want to maintain this. I'm Liam. Liam, I'm this, I'm that, and it's virtually impossible. And a lot of people who have ME/CFS, they're type A perfectionists. So they put such a high bar for themselves, and just not being able to maintain that, it's soul crushing. It freaking sucks, and man, it affected a lot at that age. And then especially going out of high school, into university, and doing all these things I shouldn't have been doing, but I just thought I had to maintain this perception of myself, and you push yourself for these people, and you don't even hear from them now. You don't even hear from them now. So yeah, that affected everything. It did.
Yeah, I've just, I've witnessed, all of it sort of over the years. The same with Liam and myself, being harmed by psychiatric drugs, and just the pressure to perform. I don't want to be disrespectful, but a lot of your friends would have a bad hangover or a flu, for a week and think their life's over. You've endured this for 8 years. That would be 6 foot under. So yeah, just a lot of strengths you're showing, mate. Proud of you for sticking in there, and yeah, pray to God things get better.
Yeah.
But when you're at that sort of stage, what symptoms were affecting you in your daily life, and how were you able to manage with everyday tasks? Just let the audience know a little bit about that.
A lot of the symptoms are just blurriness, like you're cognitively not there. Like all these different theories about ME/CFS, like no one really knows what's happening, but you can feel it, and people who experience this disease will know what I mean when you just feel like oxygen isn't getting into your brain, into your cells, and you just feel sluggish, and you just feel like a completely different person. Symptoms at high school, I was yawning all the time, I was falling asleep in class, my teachers were commenting to my father at the time that Liam just wasn't himself, and he's falling asleep a lot in class. Just aches and pains, joint pain, I had rashes all over my hands, I had groin rashes, still have eczema now, dandruff, just from stress.
I'd always sort of wonder why. I'd always sort of wonder, why you sort of, I guess, with pressure to perform. But going to school and falling asleep, and it's not normal for a 17-year-old kiddo. I don't know. I just wish you pulled yourself out. Yeah.
Me too.
So, it's just crazy. But moving on with the interview, with the questions, how did you try and hide the symptoms, to please people, and do you regret doing the things you did to keep up with your peers?
How I hid them, I have no idea, mate. To be honest, same, you'd know. Just hiding these, just putting on a front all the time, and you're so freaking tired, and you can just, like no one really looks into your eyes. Like I can tell when Cole's not feeling well, because I can just see it, because I've experienced that myself. But not a lot of people have experienced these things, so they can look at you and they just think you're fine. They think you're cool, but deep down you're feeling like absolute dog shit. And there was hundreds of times I went out with my mates, just smoke weed and do stupid shit. I just wanted to be a teenager, and I obviously regret it now a lot. And if I could go back in time, I would have bit myself around the skull to say, Liam, just rest, mate. Just frickin' rest. Drop all these ideologies of teenagehood and just rest for a bit, and you'll be fine now. But I don't know how I managed the symptoms, mate. I just put on a front and got through to where I am now, and
did the best you could.
Did the best I could. Yeah.
So mate, I just wanted to know, what are your thoughts on people who sort of take the piss out of ME/CFS, because there are a lot of people sort of in your community who've had maybe at worst, a bit of adrenal fatigue, like the guy up in Takapuna in New Zealand who charged you an arm and a leg, and he's never even been through what you have. He had a bit of adrenal fatigue, and he's scamming people for thousands of dollars. So what are your thoughts on these people, these vultures out there? Because same with in terms of psychiatric drug damage, withdrawal, whatever you want to call it. We have a lot of sort of vultures out there who sort of manipulate the system for a paycheck, and you got to be careful because you are vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you look for that quick cure. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, mate. When you're this vulnerable and you're going through these conditions, you're looking for anything that can help you, and then there's just those vultures that are just sitting there, positioning themselves ready to grab at everything. And I just think, there's no cure for ME/CFS. Like people who are living with this condition, like who are suffering. Yeah, sorry guys about our neighbour's rooster. Fucking ridiculous. There's no cure for these conditions. So if you're truly living with this condition, you know that there's no cure, and this is all a psyop. But for the people in the beginning, like myself, you would try anything. You're desperate. I would have wasted thousands of dollars with that guy in Takapuna, like that you said, and doing therapy, meditations, fucking headspace apps. I went to the leading ME/CFS doctor in the country, and all she did was she put me on low dose naltrexone, to help with brain inflammation. I see that it can sometimes help people, but there's no cure. There's no cure, and they're just trying to make a quick buck. And I think it's quite. I don't know how they live with themselves. That's on them. I could never do it to someone, but if they can, good luck to their conscience and what happens to them in the afterlife. But yeah, mate, to answer your question, I just think it's all a scam, and you've suffered severe damage from these drugs, and from the same system. I've suffered a completely different condition, and these two are the worst conditions for life quality in the world. And I think it's miserable that we've both got it, and the odds of it happening are 0 to 1,000,000. But
Two brothers.
yeah, but it's happened, and we just got to be here to try and call out some of the bullshit and try our best to, shift the narrative that's happening in the medical community and society, I guess. Yeah.
Cheers, mate, for answering that. So, what do you think, society's view of ME CFS is? I know we've had a lot of traction over the last few years with, we had the, COVID come in. There was gain of function research over in the Wuhan lab, and Bill Gates, putting his money in vaccines, and a lot of people have been seriously harmed by the vaccines. But what do you think, the public's view is of ME/CFS, and why is there a lack of funding, for you? Because you'd think there's so many people that are sick and not able to work, why wouldn't they fund to get a cure to get back into action? And taxpayers' money has been blown while you stay at home. Yeah. So, well, further elaborate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll be careful answering this just in case, but yeah. Well, you'd think millions of people suffering, you would want to get them back into work and paying their tax and contributing to society instead of just living off the government assistance, which I absolutely hate, because I feel like I hate feeling like I'm a victim. But when you can't work, I guess, and it'd be dangerous. But to answer your question, I feel like, I don't want to get long-winded, but I'd say a lot of it comes down to psychology and how they've psychologized this condition into being a mental thing, when it's so clearly not a mental thing. And they've just used that for the last 30, I don't know, since... I've seen newspaper articles in the 50s describing myoencephalitis, which means brain inflammation, spinal cord inflammation, neurocognitive problems.
People just call it fatigue, they downplay it.
Yeah, there's nothing fatigue-based. You feel shit, but it's due to that neuroinflammation and your mitochondria being harmed and body not absorbing oxygen, and you can't process, your body can't do the Krebs cycle, basic functions that everyone else can do. And when they're tired, it's just the system's a bit tired. It's not an actual malfunction. But again, still going off topic, but to answer your question, I'd say a lot of it's life insurance policies. People will be suing their doctors for millions of dollars for wrong information, and they probably haven't found a cure which they can make money off. They haven't found something that they can give to you every month, which you pay for, and they can make money off. So until that happens, there's people out there who are trying their best to solve it, but they don't get any. Like ME/CFS was the most underfunded disease per person in the world by millions of dollars, and it's fucking. I don't know if I can swear.
You can swear.
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's fucking frustrating. It's fucking miserable. It's just sitting here in my fucking room, seeing nothing happening. I know it is happening, but it should be happening so much fucking, especially with COVID. And I thought with long COVID coming in, again, not to sound like a dick, but I was kind of, like, oh, yay, long COVID, ME/CFS, virus, there could be a disease, there could be a treatment coming out, but it just hasn't changed. And until they can start making money off us, I don't think it will change.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. It's it's disappointing, but it is what it is. And what are the medical sort of establishments, communities' thoughts on ME/CFS? And just like myself, within again the psychiatric drug community and these fuckwit psychiatrists, how come they downplay it so much? It's just would you further talk on that? Why is it downplayed so much? Because it's such a serious condition.
why it's downplayed so much would be still probably the lack of funding and the actual clinical evidence that there's something happening. And until there's a test or something that can prove it 100%, they're just going to take the easy way out, man. And all these people who are being psychologized, they're going to the psychiatrists, and the psychiatrists are getting money, and they're making money off us still.
Yeah.
And if they just came out and said ME/CFS is a chronic health condition, ruins lives, debilitating, it would make so much people kind of go out of business. I guess they wouldn't be making money for it, but just how much validation it would give to the community and people who are suffering with this condition. I see stories on Reddit about how there's like doctors still talking shit about CFS and ME/CFS and
Downplaying it as
just downplaying it as a whole and just making the person feel like utter shit. And people are scared to even go to the doctors. I'm lucky that my doctor probably feels more guilt than understanding, but he at least, tries his best to understand. But people are scared to go to their doctors because they're scared that they're just going to get sent to a psychiatrist and put on drugs. And it shouldn't be happening in this century, and it will continue to happen until something changes. And God knows what will change, but hopefully something. And, just trying to get out there and spread the message a bit, because I've just kind of just had enough of it just being fucking downplayed.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, cheers for that, mate. Yeah, it's time for change. Hopefully, yeah. So, just based on all that we've talked about, what are some of the techniques, if any, that you've used over the past 8 years that have helped you, and what are things that haven't? Could you just open up on that for us?
Yeah, fuck. Where do I start? I've tried so many things. I should have written it down somewhere, but I've tried
just
hundreds of supplements and all that kind of stuff. The only things that really help is just, you feel like shit regardless, but just try stay in that energy envelope where you feel less shit, which is called, I don't know what people call it. You have your crashes, which body's in a state of shock, and you're trying to get back into just you're stable and your body's not crashing every day, and just try stay within that limit. And I know for me it's fucking impossible to stay within that limit, without proper support. But just do your best and try and stay within that limit. That's the only thing I can really say. And try eat the best you can, because I'm not one for being self-conscious, but I like to try stay in okay shape. So eat well and just try look okay by eating the best you can. I know some of you guys are not getting enough money to do that, but just try eat as best you can. Try get your sleep the best. It's all hypothetical, because I know it's such a struggle, but just try the best you can. Sleep, eat well, rest as much as you can, and just try not put stress on yourself when you don't need to. And just rest and rest and rest and rest. If you're still early on, just rest and rest and rest. And it might not feel like you're getting anywhere, but just keep fucking resting, and hopefully it will clear. And just don't push yourself and crash like I did, like a fucking idiot. Just stay within your limits. Yeah.
So yeah, mate, that just sort of about wraps it up today. Thanks very much for just coming on and just talking about it, because again, it's has a lot of similarities with psychiatric med damage, and I think it's something that really needs to be talked about, because it's a very serious condition. And mate, just sort of proud of you for dealing with it for so long, and I just hope for your sake something comes up that can a cure within the next few years, and just keep trucking along. So thanks guys for watching, thanks for tuning in and listening about this, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers. Thank you.
How long was that? 11 minutes. Another one was 14.
So
25.
yeah.
Didn't even